Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to break down two words you probably hear 100 times a day, price and market. But what do they actually mean in the world of economics? Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll see this amazing hidden logic that connects something as simple as the air you breathe to the phone that's probably in your hand right now. Let's jump in.
So, let's start with a really basic question. Just think about it for a second. Why is the air you're breathing completely free? But if you want a bottle of water, you got to pay for it. What's the real difference there?
And right here on this slide, this is the core of it. On one side, you have free goods, things like air, sunlight. They're just everywhere, abundant. But on the other side, you have economic goods. The key word for them is scarce. That one little word, scarce, is the total game changer. Because there isn't an endless supply for everyone who wants one, they end up having a price.
And that leads us right into our first big idea, the problem of scarcity. I mean, since most things in the world aren't infinite, we need some kind of system to decide who gets what. And that system, well, that's where price comes into the picture.
So what even is a price when you boil it all down? It's pretty simple, right? It's just the amount of money, the number on the tag, that you need to get your hands on something.
But here's another way to think about it that's really useful. A price is just a way of expressing the value of something. It tells you exactly how much money you have to give up to get that thing in return. It's basically a measure of exchange.
Okay, but that word, value, that's where things can get a little tricky. To really get a handle on price, we have to be super clear about what economists are talking about when they say something is worth something.
I mean, is it about how useful something is to you personally, or is it about what you could trade it for? Well, in economics, the answer is kind of both, and they have very specific names for each.
First up, you've got value in use. Now, this is all about how useful something is specifically to you. Think about it. A glass of water has incredible value in use when you're super thirsty. Or that old, faded t-shirt from college? For you, it might have huge sentimental value, but for pretty much anyone else, it's just an old t-shirt.
And then you have value in exchange. This has nothing to do with your personal feelings. It's all about one thing. What could you get for this item on the open market? It's totally objective. You know that feeling of being lifetime obliged to someone? That's what we call sentimental value. And it's a powerful human emotion, but it's not a currency. You can't take that feeling to the grocery store and buy a loaf of bread. Economics is focused purely on what can actually be exchanged for something else. And this is a really, really important point to remember. When economists talk about value, especially when they're talking about price, they are always talking about exchange value. That's the one that makes the whole market economy go round. Okay, so if exchange value is the thing that really matters, where does this value get decided? The answer is in the market. But what is a market exactly? It might not be what you think.
Now, when I say the word market, your mind probably jumps to a farmer's market, right? Or maybe the New York Stock Exchange. And you're not wrong. Those are definitely markets. But the real definition is so much bigger than that.
In today's world, a market could be the classified ads section of a website, it could be an app on your phone, it can be any space, physical or digital, where a buyer and a seller can find each other and potentially make a deal.
So here's the key takeaway. A market isn't so much a physical place as it is a concept. It's simply the collection of all the buyers and all the sellers who have the potential to trade something. That word potential is everything.
So what's the market's most important job? To figure out the price. The market is the mechanism, it's the engine that brings buyers and sellers together and helps them agree on an exchange value. And that value, once it's expressed in money, is what we call the price.
So what does it take to make a market work? What makes it tick? Well, it doesn't matter if you're talking about coffee beans or computer software. It turns out that every single market needs 5 essential ingredients.
All right, let's just break it down real quick. 1, you need buyers and sellers, of course. 2, you need a product or a service being offered. Pretty obvious. 3, there has to be some form of bargaining to settle on a price. Makes sense. 4, both sides need to have at least some basic knowledge about what's going on. And finally, number 5, at any given moment, the market settles on a single price for that item. And that's how it all connects, see? We start with the simple fact that most things are scarce. That scarcity is what gives them exchange value. That value is then determined in a market, and the final result of that whole process is the price you see on the tag every single day. So, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. We just said that a market's job is to determine one price at a given time.
If that's true, then why are prices for things like gas, or a stock, or even a gallon of milk always changing? Why don't they just stay put? Well, that's a great question for another explainer. Thanks so much for watching.